For most of human history, the end of the world was imagined as something loud. A roar from the sky, a flash of fire, a final moment everyone would see coming. But in the modern age, the end was far quieter. No explosions, no warning sirens, no panic in the streets, just numbers on a screen, and one decision. In the early hours of a cold night during the height of the Cold War, the fate of the entire planet came down to a single room, a single console, and a single officer staring at a computer display that told him the impossible was happening. The machine said nuclear war had begun. The machines were wrong. And for a few terrifying minutes, nobody knew that. The Cold War was never truly cold. It only appeared that way from a distance. Beneath the surface, it was a constant state of tension, an unbroken psychological standoff between two superpowers armed with weapons capable of wiping out civilization in under an hour. Both sides understood one thing clearly. If nuclear war ever started, there would be no winners, only ruins. This understanding gave birth to a fragile balance known as deterrence. Each side built vast nuclear arsenals not to use them, but to ensure the other side never dared to strike first. Missiles were placed in silos, submarines, bombers, and secret facilities across the globe. Early warning systems were developed to detect incoming attacks within minutes. Computers tracked radar signals, satellite data, and infrared flashes from space. Everything depended on speed. If one side launched missiles, the other had only a few minutes to decide whether to respond before their own weapons were destroyed on the ground. There was no time for debate, no time for certainty, only time to react. That was the most dangerous part, because machines do not understand fear. They don't understand doubt. They only follow logic. And logic, when fed the wrong information, can be deadly. It was shortly after midnight when the alert came in. The room was dimly lit, designed to reduce fatigue during long overnight shifts. Rows of monitors glowed softly, showing data streams that usually meant nothing more than routine system checks. The officers on duty were trained to expect boredom, not catastrophe. Then the computer changed. A warning signal appeared on the screen, clear, unmistakable, and catastrophic. The system was detecting a missile launch. One missile, then another, then several more. According to the data, intercontinental ballistic missiles had just been launched from enemy territory. Their trajectories pointed directly toward the homeland. Estimated time to impact less than 30 minutes. In nuclear strategy, that was an eternity and an instant at the same time. Protocol demanded immediate action. The officer on duty did not panic. He had been trained for this moment for years. Drills, simulations, endless rehearsals, all designed to prepare him for the day when the screen would turn red and the world would change forever. But something felt wrong. A full-scale nuclear attack did not make sense, not like this. The computer was reporting only a small number of launches, 5 missiles, then 6, then 7. That wasn't how nuclear war was supposed to begin. If one side truly intended to strike first, they would launch everything at once. Hundreds of missiles, thousands of warheads, overwhelming force designed to eliminate any chance of retaliation. This looked tentative, almost cautious. The officer reported the alert up the chain of command as required. The system insisted the threat was real. Satellite data confirmed it. The clock was ticking. Higher authorities were notified. Strategic forces were placed on alert. Launch crews stood by, waiting for the order that would end the world. Still, the officer hesitated. The computers were sophisticated, but they were new. This system had only recently been deployed. It relied on satellites watching for infrared signatures, heat from missile launches seen from space. Heat could mean many things: reflections, glitches, errors. The officer remembered his training. Human judgment still mattered. The system was designed to assist decision-making, not replace it. He chose to wait. Instead of immediately recommending a retaliatory strike, he requested confirmation from ground-based radar systems. Radar would detect incoming missiles as they rose over the horizon, but radar showed nothing. No objects, no warheads, no incoming attack. The satellites continued to insist the missiles were real. The room was silent except for the hum of electronics. Every second that passed reduced the time available to respond, if the attack was real. Delay too long and retaliation would be impossible. The enemy would strike first and win. This was the nightmare scenario nuclear planners feared most. Incomplete information. Act too soon, and you might start a war that never existed. Wait too long, and you might die without responding. The officer understood the weight of the decision. If he declared the alert genuine, the next steps would unfold automatically. Orders would be sent. Keys would be turned. Missiles would leave their silos. There would be no way to stop them. He trusted his instincts. He reported the alert as a possible false alarm. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. No impacts, no radar confirmations, no explosions. Eventually, the system reset. The missiles had never existed. The cause was later traced to sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds, creating a pattern the satellite sensors misinterpreted as missile launches. The world had come within minutes of nuclear war because of a reflection. This was not an isolated incident. Throughout the Cold War, technology failed repeatedly, sometimes quietly, sometimes catastrophically. Each failure tested the thin line between deterrence and annihilation. Years earlier, another computer error nearly triggered disaster in a different way. In a military command center thousands of miles away, technicians were running a routine simulation. The system was supposed to test how crews would respond to a hypothetical nuclear attack. Someone forgot to remove the simulation tape. When the system went live, the simulated attack was interpreted as real. Radar screens lit up with hundreds of incoming missiles. Commanders scrambled. Emergency procedures were activated. Strategic bombers were prepared for takeoff. Nuclear submarines received alerts. For several tense minutes, the military believed nuclear war had begun. Only frantic phone calls and last-minute cross-checks revealed the truth. It was an exercise, a training tape. Another time, a faulty computer chip reported that an enemy missile was inbound. Again, radar showed nothing. Again, human judgment overrode the machines. Each time, the margin for error was razor-thin. These incidents exposed a terrifying truth. The systems designed to prevent nuclear war could also start one. As technology advanced, reliance on automation increased. Computers were faster than humans, capable of processing vast amounts of data in seconds. But they were also unforgiving. They did not question assumptions. They did not feel doubt. Human operators were slowly becoming the weakest link and the last safeguard. Strategists debated whether humans should even remain in the loop. Some argued that automation reduced the risk of emotional decision-making. Machines would respond rationally, instantly, without fear. Others warned that removing humans entirely would make accidental war inevitable. The more complex the system became, the more ways it could fail. False alarms came from radar reflections, software bugs, malfunctioning sensors, even flocks of birds. Each one had the potential to cascade into catastrophe. And every time, the response depended on someone choosing not to press the button. The public knew almost nothing about these close calls. They remained classified, buried in reports and archives. To the outside world, the Cold War appeared stable, controlled, safe in a grim way. Behind the scenes, it was anything but. Military doctrine assumed rational actors on both sides, but machines had no concept of rationality, only programmed thresholds. If data crossed a certain line, alarms triggered. What if multiple systems failed at once? What if human operators trusted the machines too much? These questions haunted planners. To ensure retaliation even if leadership was wiped out, some systems were designed to automate the launch process further. The logic was chillingly simple. If the country was destroyed, the weapons would fire automatically. It was deterrence taken to its extreme. and it removed human judgment entirely. The existence of such systems meant that even a false alarm combined with a communications failure could theoretically trigger an unstoppable chain reaction. A war without intent, a war without hatred, a war without meaning. Just machines executing instructions written decades earlier. The officer who hesitated that night never considered himself a hero. He followed his instincts, his training, and his understanding of the enemy's behavior. He assumed that leaders on the other side were rational, that they would not launch a limited strike guaranteed to provoke retaliation. He assumed, above all, that the world did not end because of a computer error. He was right. But that assumption could have been wrong, and that is what makes the story terrifying. Because the Cold War did not end with a bang. It ended quietly with treaties, speeches, and the slow dismantling of arsenals. But the systems built during that era did not disappear overnight. Many remain in place today, modernized but fundamentally unchanged in philosophy. Early warning systems still exist. Missiles remain on high alert. Response times are still measured in minutes. Technology has improved, but complexity has increased. Artificial intelligence now assists in threat analysis. Automation has expanded, not contracted. The risk of error has not vanished. It has evolved. The greatest danger may no longer be intentional war, but accidental war. A glitch, a misinterpretation, a software update gone wrong. History shows that the world has already come frighteningly close, multiple times. Each time, survival depended not on flawless systems, but on individuals willing to question them, to pause, to doubt, to wait. The button exists. It has always existed. And it remains unpressed not because machines are perfect, but because humans are imperfect in the right way, capable of hesitation, capable of fear, capable of choosing not to end the world. Even when a computer says they should,